All right. All right. So folks are saying the tariffs, they're going to destroy the auto industry. They're going to make cars ridiculously expensive. It's not possible to make cars in America anymore, etc., etc. Well, here's a quick history lesson. Jimmy Carter, the chicken tax. It's a terrible, terrible name. It's slang, but it's the easiest thing you can Google. Check the chicken tax out for a minute. I'll wait. Okay, you back? Maybe you never left. Let's think about something. The chicken tax is in place. It's been in place since the Carter administration. What does the chicken tax do for the automotive industry? Well, it places an import duty, otherwise known as a tariff, on work vehicles imported to the Americas. Only talking about the United States here. Now let's think about something. Toyota, many manufacturing plants worldwide. Nissan, although they're suffering right now, many manufacturing plants worldwide. Yet, the Nissan Titan is assembled in Canton, Mississippi, and the engine is made in Deschutes, Texas. Sorry, Deschutes, Tennessee. Would help if I could read my own handwriting. The Toyota Tacoma, assembled in San Antonio, Texas. The engine's made in Tijuana, Mexico. Kind of a 50-50 there. How about the Toyota Tundra? Engine made in Huntsville, Alabama. Also truck assembled in San Antonio, Texas. I don't know what that means to you, but it looks like even though they could have made these vehicles overseas, due to import duties, they manufacture them here in America. Toyotas are a little expensive, but all their vehicles are more expensive than an American vehicle. So the Tundra and the Tacoma fall right in line with that price difference for value and quality. Nissan Titan, it's not overpriced. Nobody's claiming that the Nissan Titan is 25% more expensive than a Ford F-150. You have to do your historical research, folks. Tariffs are to level a playing field. It should not be advantageous to manufacture something overseas simply because American workers want to be able to maintain an American way of life. You don't get to go to the gym for $18 a month and have a $125 a month cell phone and have a $1,500 plus a month apartment or $2,000 or $3,000 a month mortgage if you're making the same money as the countries we compete against for manufacturing. China's average hourly wage is $3.70 an hour. That's a fact. You can Google that and fact check me. So the chicken tax from Jimmy Carter's administration has caused foreign manufacturers to onboard their manufacturing of taxed vehicles to the United States. Those plants didn't exist in the 50s or the 60s, but they do now. Harley Davidson in the late 70s, after nearly being completely destroyed by AMF, the American Machine Tool and Foundry Corporation, was bought by 5 employees of the company led by Willie G. Now, some of you may not have been alive in the 90s and early 2000s, but Willie G had his logo on everything. You could buy Willie G skulls on every piece of a Harley as an aftermarket accessory from the dealer. an OE accessory from the dealer. Now, how did we get from the late 70s, where Harley Davidson was so bad off financially that 5 employees of the company were able to purchase the company from its parent, to today, the multi-million-dollar company? Well, you see, Willie G and his boys went to the government and they said, we have a problem. The Japanese are dumping motorcycles on the American market, and dumping is not as in putting them in a dump truck and dumping them physically. Dumping is a term for a manufacturer selling an item at or below cost, basically betting that their competition will go out of business before they run out of money. Once the competition goes out of business, they raise their price. They are no longer dumping. They own the market. People will pay whatever they ask. So in the early 80s, Harley Davidson goes to the government, says the Japanese are dumping motorcycles on our market. We do understand that under AMF ownership, Harley Davidson was making terrible motorcycles that even on a fair playing field would not be able to compete with Japanese motorcycles. So we're asking for a 5-year import tariff. We believe at Harley Davidson that we can turn things around in 5 years and build a motorcycle and revive this company that in such a way that can compete with the Japanese on a level playing field, even with their reduced manufacturing costs, and even though their motorcycles will, at their choice, be cheaper than our Harley Davidsons. The government said, sure, we'll give you 5 years. And it was a graduated tariff. It started high, and each year it would reduce. Well, somehow by year 2, Harley Davidson was already just turned around, doing great. The leadership team went down to Washington and said, you know what? Let's cut this short. We don't even need the 5 years. Our company is doing so good because of those tariffs. We were able to rebuild into a leaner, meaner, stronger, better company. You can get rid of the tariffs. So the tariffs didn't even make it 3 years out of 5. You do not have to like any particular president. You do not have to fall on a particular side of the aisle in order to recognize a problem and recognize its solution. You don't have to align with a particular movement to agree that something they did is the right move. Think about Detroit. Detroit is literally a shadow of its former self. And you can try and get political or bring race into it or anything. But I guarantee you that those millions of people that lost their jobs, they would rather those manufacturing plants there and rather be able to live in the Detroit metro area than what the other option has been. This happens around the world. The Massey Harris plant or Massey Ferguson plant in Ontario, Canada, that employed 1/8 of the town that it resided in. It's closed and it's gone. What do those people do? It's not America's fault that we have a higher standard of living and thereby a higher cost of living. You have to recognize that if you want minimum wage laws, if you want insurance benefits to be paid by these companies, if you want OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, if you want them to be able to legally require these businesses to provide you with safe working conditions, these all come at a great cost to do business in this country for any organization. Be it Ford or Chevy, be it Toyota, be it Pilot Pens, Bic Pens, it doesn't matter. If you want to have a business in America, there are costs associated. In Massachusetts, every contractor is required to have workman's comp insurance, even if they're one person. So you get an estimate for a 10 by 15 single room addition on your house and it's $75,000. You go hire some unlicensed guys who don't have insurance and there's a problem with your construction, you have no recourse. But you complain that the guy who has the insurance that's required by law is too expensive. Maybe if you had a good job or a better job, rather than being stuck working for $15 or $20 an hour, it'd be easier to afford those guys that make the same kind of money you do. Tariffs are not evil, and you cannot perceive them as evil simply because of who is putting the tariffs in place. Jimmy Carter, the chicken tax, American-made trucks by foreign manufacturers. Seems to work. It's simple. Harley Davidson, tariffs on imported motorcycles, takes a company that was bankrupt, gives them a chance. And here they are, 40 plus years later, still in business. And yes, we could make a single video deep diving in any one of these companies, and I may make some of them. But tariffs are not evil, and they are highly effective, because the point of a tariff is to level the playing field. If making something in China, because the people don't have 8-hour workdays and overtime, they don't have health insurance, they make less than $4 an hour, which is less than minimum wage in the whole country. Now that's on average. There are workers in China that make a great deal more than that. But we got to go for national average here. Use your brain. Think critically. Don't think emotionally. Playing with your emotions is what's got us into this entire mess. I want to make $50 an hour. I want to make $75 an hour. Because that way I can afford to live a great life in America. And as an American, if you're watching this, or let me rephrase that, if you're American and watching this, you should be able to make $40, $50, $60, $70 an hour, $100 an hour. But there's not enough master's degree level desk jobs that are necessary worldwide to employ 200 million Americans, plus the citizens of other countries. It's very simple. You put a tariff on an imported good so that it is no more enticing for a company to choose foreign manufacture than it is domestic manufacture. Poke around YouTube. You'll find videos. You can find a video about an old man in Japan that's like a legendary engine rebuilder. Rebuilds L-Series Nissan engines. They came in the 240, the 260, you know, the Fairlady Z in Japan, or we know it as the 240Z or the 260Z. That man's using Bridgeport milling tools. Bridgeport is a city in Connecticut, United States. Our milling machines used to be shipped all over the world. I worked for a defense contractor. The newest Bridgeport machine we had was from the 70s. Our modern machinery, the CNC machinery, was Mazak. And Mazak is just a trick. It's a sort of way to make you not realize where the machine's made. Could Mazak be German? Might be American? Swedish? Who knows? Mazak is Japanese. It's the Yamazaki Corporation. How things have come full circle. The point of a tariff on anything is to make it even. The chicken tax got us American-made pickup trucks from foreign manufacturers. The import duty on Japanese motorcycles allowed Harley-Davidson to be the oldest functioning motorcycle company in this country, potentially the world. That's because Husqvarna has been bought and sold and cut apart, and yeah. But either way, think critically. Just because a piece of legislation comes from one side of the aisle or the other does not mean it's evil. You are allowed to use your brain and form an accurate opinion based upon the truth. If you allow the politicians and the media stations to get this thing going, you're not going to act rationally. Anger and fear are awful inspirations for action. Please, folks, use your noodle. Listen to the guy in the corner. Have a good night.